Inc. Stardust and Rocky hit by a comet.
Bethany?
I swear, Jonas, if you ask me where to attach the wires to the wireless scanner one more time...
No. I'm still working through that on my own. I was just thinking, you know that ocean planet that we incorporated a while back?
You're gonna have to give me more than that. We do about 13 of those a week.
It had that one island that looked like the little wingworms that hang out in the corners of the hallway sometimes.
Maybe? Most of the time, ocean planets are just good for a blast of non-recycled H2O that will have absolutely been recycled again by the time it gets to us. Why should I suddenly care about this one?
Well, it had a couple of sentient life forms on it.
So does a lot of the stuff we incorporate, Jonas. Does this have a point?
No, like, just a couple. Two pieces of life on the whole planet. Not even single-celled stuff. 2 absolutely massive organisms, each taking up about half of this gigantic ocean planet.
All right. We don't see a lot of that. It's interesting. I'll give you that.
So you haven't seen anything like that either?
I don't want to say that. I've been here a long time. Seen a lot of stuff. Probably forgotten most of it. Eventually it all just kind of blurs in front of you. Information overload.
You know, that actually reminds me of something I wanted to ask you.
Here we go. Here's the real reason you wanted to talk.
No, it's not. Look, you remember a couple months back when I went through a little crazy spell and thought you killed your previous partner and were confessing that to me through a series of clues, slowly revealing the conspiracy?
Yes, since we're still getting the daily general medical newsletter that for some reason you signed us up for when you got your inoculations, and that we cannot dispose of via any legal means, I'd say I remember.
So that partner, the one that you didn't kill, they were kind of like what you are to me?
A little bit. They didn't have the same amount of seniority I do, and I had a lot more training coming in than you did, plus a different approach to life. The atmosphere was different, let's say.
So it was more fun?
No, I literally mean the atmosphere was different. We had about 5% more nitrogen back then. They were good times.
Oh. Okay then. As long as it wasn't better.
Are you worried about something?
I'm just making conversation.
You're making weird conversation.
You think almost all my conversation is weird.
I can't disagree with that.
I just don't see why it can't be just as fun now as it was back then.
I don't know. Maybe it was. It was more... It had... I don't know. It was probably the same. Maybe I'm just different.
Or it was because Patricia was here.
Look, I'd really rather not talk about that. It was different. When they were around, I'm not saying it was better or worse, just different. Okay?
Must have been exciting when you started the folder together. Must have been a lot of fun.
I've never been good at dancing, physically or in conversation. If you have a point, could you get to it, please?
I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
Okay. Why?
Because I want to know more about you.
Again, why?
That's what people do.
Not a good reason. People do worthless things all the time.
Yeah, but we do a boring job in a little box all shift, and you're more interesting than most of the other things around here. Plus, and don't take this the wrong way, but it seems like you really need a friend. Like, badly.
Wow. Thank you. Can you put that in writing and deliver it to the Advancement Consideration Corps? With that solid of a recommendation, I could be due for a promotion soon, and everything you see around you could all be yours.
You're deflecting, so I'll stop asking questions about you and Patricia.
No, I'm not, actually. I'm currently wondering why you get weirdly insightful sometimes. It's like a little switch flips in you, and suddenly you have emotional perception.
Is that a bad thing?
Yes, it's very unsettling.
Useful, though. So the two of you started the folder, right? Or did Patricia start it and come to you? Or the other way around? Or...
I'm not doing this.
That's okay. I can just keep asking. Or worse, I could just guess and get it wrong.
Ugh, we started it together.
Why?
I mean, it does what it says on the box. We kept coming across things that were extraneous, but interesting. So we made a folder and labeled it Extraneous but Interesting. It's a fascinating story. I can really see why you wanted to hear it.
Why didn't you just trash it all if it was extraneous?
Would you have trashed all the stories?
No.
Well, there you go. Now imagine that feeling, but me instead of you.
Okay. I'm you. We're the same. We're identical in mind and spirit.
I'm going to actually vomit right now.
We're going to actually vomit right now. Come on, Bethany. That's not a real answer.
I don't know what you want. Things were fun. We liked the fun things. We saved them so we could look at them again later.
But how fun were the things?
You've read a bunch of them. What are you even asking?
Not the first ones. Come on. Like, what flipped the switch from, oh, this is cool to, oh, this is cool and we have to save it for posterity?
I don't know. There wasn't one thing. It was just a bunch of, like anything. Like there was one planet that we incorporated that just had a hole straight down from its magnetic North Pole into the mantle. Nothing lived around there. No sentient life had ever developed or visited. Just a hole. About 8 inches wide, dropping into the middle of the planet.
I guess. How?
Exactly, right? How? It doesn't matter now. Planet is gone, totally incorporated. That mantle was powering something in this big clunker for a good while, but it's cool, right? Extraneous, but interesting.
I kind of wish I could have been there to see that.
I bet the hole is still on the ship somewhere. Not much use for a place where nothing is, especially when you've got all the storage space we do. But it's also hard to destroy something that only exists in relation to matter around it, so I'm guessing they just put it in a corner somewhere. You could try to find it on a break.
It just sounds like you used to have a lot of fun.
Sometimes. That's just how we used to pass the time. I'm sure you've noticed that there's only really enough work for about half a shift, so it really drags on towards the end. So you have to fill them with something. We always figured as long as you got your stuff done, they wouldn't care enough to notice you.
That's freeing. And depressing.
That's the life of a small cog in a big machine. As long as you don't screw everything up, nobody notices you.
Bethany, can I ask you a question to have you not get mad at me?
You can sure try.
Why isn't it fun here anymore?
Yep, Jonas, you can sure try.
You don't have many friends on the ship, do you?
Keep digging, Jonas. You just keep digging that hole.
Do you?
No. It's work. It's just work.
It doesn't have to be.
You can stop trying now, Jonas.
Hello, everybody in Porthole, registered subsections Delta through Zeta Prime. It's officially time for your regularly scheduled bi-weekly 15-minute surprise unpaid coffee break. Please remember to clock out and leave any equipment at its station. Failing to clock out will be regarded as a Level 4 time theft incident, and your wages may be garnished until the debt is repaid, along with other disciplinary matters. Please also remember to clock back in afterwards. By failing to clock back in, you are agreeing to work, uncompensated, for such time until you choose to clock back in. And we appreciate all our volunteers who choose to do that. Also, a reminder that as of 4 years ago, there has been an interruption in our coffee acquisition ability, which we are actively lobbying several different governments to rectify. Therefore, there is no coffee for the coffee break. Please note that consumption of other beverages during the regularly scheduled bi-weekly 15-minute surprise unpaid coffee break is punishable by official demeritization, as well as possible removal of future regularly scheduled bi-weekly 15-minute surprise unpaid coffee breaks. You have been warned. Productivity is happiness, even on a break.
Is that coffee? Is that real, actual coffee you're holding?
You know, I try to take my breaks alone so I don't have to answer questions during them, right?
Real coffee? My God, it's been months.
Calm down, you'll wet your uniform.
Just let me smell it. That's not coffee at all.
Would you just...
That's not even a little coffee. That's 100% black goo. Somebody's breaking procedure.
Oh, gonna turn me in? You might get my job if you can swing it right. Have you looked upon everything I have these last couple months and said, that's it? That's the life for me.
Wow. Now that you mention it, I've never had power like this before. Do I look taller? I feel taller.
They turn the gravity down during these breaks. We've only got 13 minutes of surprise coffee break left. Must we spend it like this?
Well, I suppose I could let this slide on one condition.
Oh, what's that?
You make me a cup of that goo and listen to what I've been finding, and I won't turn you in.
That's 2 conditions.
All right. I'll give you a freebie for the next surprise coffee break, too.
Fine. You sure you want some of this? It's actually copro mildew tea with some goo added to fool the cameras into thinking it's coffee so the alarms don't trip.
Yeah, about that, I'm not sure the cameras actually do anything.
What makes you say that?
Not for nothing, but I've done some things in front of those cameras before I noticed them that make me think I would have been fired if anybody was watching them.
Oh, it's not people, it's all AI.
That makes even less sense. They'd be better at it.
Do you remember your first day here? Do you remember that AI?
Honestly, past a certain point, the past is kind of a fever dream for the most part.
Have you ever been scanned?
What kind of scanned?
I don't know, but there's definitely something wrong with you, and I'm pretty sure it'll take a scan to figure it out.
What's wrong with me is I don't have a cup of goo tea in my hands right now.
Oh, among other things. Have a sip of mine quick. No worries, I've had my shots. Just before we go wasting a whole nother cup.
That is a unique taste.
It grows on you.
It would have to, I think.
No, I literally mean it grows on you. Drink too much and you get weird mildew build up around your gill ducts.
The things you do when you're out of coffee, huh?
Yeah, you could say. Hey, weird fact for you. Did you know that almost 83% of the sentient and agricultural species that we've incorporated have enjoyed a beverage similar to coffee? The whole universe is full of coffee, and I've only been able to try it once.
And what's wrong with the species that don't do that?
I haven't looked into it that far. My guess would be biology that's very sensitive to stimulants. In which case, who knows? Maybe something else triggers the same bits in the brain, like a noise, or a taste, or an act of proprioception. Even specific tensions inside the muscles, or a specific pressure inside a fluid-filled carapace might do the job.
Life just goes in the weirdest directions, doesn't it?
Until we get there.
I clink my drink with yours to that, but I don't have one yet.
Fine. Come on, tell me what you found.
Hello, everybody in Porthole registered subsections Delta through Zeta Prime. This is just a quick and helpful update, letting you know that you've used up half of your regularly scheduled bi-weekly 15-minute surprise unpaid coffee break. We would also like to remind you that this is a regularly scheduled bi-weekly 15-minute surprise unpaid coffee break and not a regularly scheduled bi-weekly 15-minute surprise unpaid exercise break. Therefore, activities like stretching, walking quickly, breathing heavily, straining and or exerting oneself, and any other act of positive physical stimulation that does not involve the ingestion of coffee is strictly prohibited. Please enjoy the final half hour of your regularly scheduled bi-weekly 15-minute surprise unpaid coffee break. Even in the middle of a break, happiness is productivity.
So where are we? Still on this very wet planet we slurped up?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. This stuff really likes to stick in the throat.
Gotta be stronger than the gootee, newbie. You'll get it. There you go. Fight it down. Now, you've got 7 minutes to wow me before things get busy again.
But it's never busy down here.
Yeah, but sometimes I pretend. Breaks up the day.
Okay, so 7 minutes? Really? That's a bit short, but okay. So we've got this watery planet, right?
Yes, very aware of the water at this point.
So we've got this watery planet, and the only sentient life on it are these two individuals, but they're huge. Each one takes up about half of the planet's surface, for a lack of a better word. There's some little stuff, bacteria, plankton, but nothing bigger than the buttons on our uniform. Except for these two creatures, two massive sentient things. Essentially, big colonies of a specific mold that developed from sentience and connected all of its various bodily bits to add this sentience up to one big thinking thing.
6 minutes.
Part of the joy of storytelling is the listening, but fine. So these two organisms are super friendly with each other, right? Almost like siblings. One eventually gets interested in space, and the other is very interested in seeing things that are like down under the rocks at the bottom of the ocean. And so they each start doing some science and tell the other what they found, and it's all very interesting and fun.
Sounds like it. 5.5 minutes.
And this goes on for hundreds of years. It goes on to the point that they actually start making some technological headway on each other's interests. Telescopes, boring equipment, you get what I mean.
Do they have names?
Not really. Well, kinda. They're kinda named the same thing. Only two organisms, linguistically. Not much use for names. So they each respond to their word for you and refer to themselves with their word for me. I call them Stardust and Rocky, though.
Stardust and Rocky, huh?
Yeah, I had a pair of little semi-domesticated rodents named Stardust and Rocky once, and this opportunity lined up so perfectly.
Little over 4.5 minutes. Also, we need to talk about you naming things. I've heard you talking under your breath to the file cabinets and the light switch lately.
It's not illegal to name things.
You can't name a light switch Henriette, Jonas. It doesn't make any sense. It's not a good name for a light switch. Also, 4 minutes 15.
Henriette is the perfect name for our light switch, and I will be talking about it on company time as long as I choose to care. Anyways, where was I? Crap. Okay, so, Rocky is drilling into the planet and Stardust is watching space, hoping to send some kind of probe in a few dozen years. Everything is fine. All is well. Then Stardust sees through a telescope a comet. Stardust can tell that its angle is going to bring it very close to their planet. So they start crunching some numbers for a couple weeks. And all this time, this thing is getting closer and closer. But they don't tell Rocky. Rocky doesn't know a thing about it. Rocky is finding different mineral deposits and discovering the history of their planet through the very rock itself. Rocky is busy.
4 minutes.
This would go a lot faster without interruptions,
Oh. What? That'd be so annoying.
So, Rocky is playing in the dirt, and Stardust calculates that when the comet hits, it's gonna hit Rocky's side of the planet. There's nothing to do, nothing can be done. In a little over 3 weeks, Rocky will be dead, and the planet will be forever changed.
Stardust would be really lonely, huh?
Oh, you've got no idea. Stardust is heartbroken, writes so much bad poetry, begins plans for a memorial, begins naming the things it sees through the telescope after Rocky. Well, really after the word you, but it's one and the same. Just really taking it hard. Rocky still has no idea. Rocky has not been told. Rocky is in the dark.
Stardust was trying to be kind, I'll bet.
Absolutely. Nothing could be done about it. Why worry a friend, right? By the time they know anything is wrong, it'll all be over. So the big day comes, kaboom, rock hits, planet shudders, galactic destruction is unlike anything conscious life can possibly imagine, yada yada yada. When things die down a bit, less tsunamis, earthquakes, things like that, Stardust takes out this beautiful eulogy that they'd written and begins to read it as a tribute. And as Stardust is reading and mourning and all that good stuff, they hear something. Another voice through the water.
Less than 2 minutes, bring it home.
And the other voice belongs to Rocky, who was also reading a eulogy to Stardust.
There you go. Twist that plot.
Rocky has been building what essentially amounted to planetary armor for itself ever since it started digging down, needing something to do with the extra material it removed. At this point, only about 11% of Rocky's body was closer than 6 meters to the sea floor, and only 4% was in the water itself, as opposed to in the ground. So painful, definitely, but not life-threatening, despite the destruction.
Well, just look at Rocky go.
So they have this really weird talk, right? Stardust tells Rocky about how they thought that there was no chance for survival and how they didn't want to poison their final days with worry. And Rocky tells Stardust that they felt so guilty after the comet hit because they didn't think anything could have survived whatever had just happened. And Stardust was so exposed, always looking up, no planetary armor at all.
That's very sweet.
They're on the verge of this wonderful step forward, combining technologies, moving onward, moving together towards common goals and betterment instead of separate and localized pursuits. And right as they go to connect their bodies, possibly on the way to becoming a singular planetary organism, the likes of which almost no system has ever or will ever see, we show up and incorporate them.
4, 3, 2, 1, and that's time.
Well,
interesting. Put it in the folder. Break's over, though.
Hello, everybody in porthole registered subsections Delta through Zeta Prime. This is just a quick and helpful update, letting you know that you've used up the entirety of your regularly scheduled bi-weekly 15-minute surprise unpaid coffee break. Please resume regular tasks and be sure to give a little extra to make up for the time we've lost. Remember, it's not just good business practice, it's a legally binding requirement of your employment. At the end of a break, most of all, happiness is productivity. And productivity is happiness.
Did you see where I put the new guidelines for property relinquishment in the event that the property relinquishment guidelines are lost? It's kind of important.
I think they're under the broken scanner.
Our scanner broke? Oh yeah, here they are. Wow, that is a... Yep, that's a broken scanner, all right.
It wasn't entirely my fault.
Jonas, where did you even get all these wires? Our scanner is wireless.
You keep saying that, and I don't know how that keeps happening. You said I needed a scan. I tried to get a scanner working.
Jonas, this scans paper.
Well, how am I supposed to know that?
Well, it does say paper scanner on it. Or it did. Now it kind of says Patner, since the mill is all wired like the ship if we ever got coffee again. Okay, that's like the 5th pathetic sigh you've let out in the last half hour. What's going on?
I've just been thinking.
That could make anybody melancholy, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Look, that didn't sound like it, but it was an invitation to continue. Get it out, come on.
Well, it's just... I like working here with you, right?
Jonas, we both hate this place.
Yeah, like the job and whatever, but if I've got to do a job, I'm glad I get to do it with you. You're a lot nicer than other people I've had to work with.
You must have had to work with some really terrible people.
I'm being serious.
Well, that's not something you do.
You say you want me to talk, and then when I do...
Sorry. Force a habit. Seriously, thank you. I appreciate that.
I've had, people I was friendly with before. Other people I've worked with. It was pleasant and all, but I've never had, a friend. Not since the middle of being educated, I guess. I just wanted you to know that I think of you like a friend, and I know you might not think of me like that, but I do, to you, so thank you.
Why would you think I don't see you as a friend?
Well, I know we're friendly and all, but you don't really want to be friends with anybody.
Who said that?
You did.
When?
All the time.
That's a lie.
Not out loud with your demeanor and your overall vibe.
We're deep in the bowels of the ship here, Jonas. You can say attitude. There's nobody to impress with demeanor.
See, like that.
Oh, that? That's just an unrelated coping mechanism. Don't bother with that.
Huh?
It's got nothing to do with you. It's just how I am.
Yeah, and I get it. Kinda. So that's all I'm saying is that you have your thing going on, but you're my friend, and I wanted to tell you that.
Well, okay.
Okay.
I suppose it wouldn't be crazy to call you my friend. I can have friends, You are my friend, is what I'm saying.
Am I, though?
Yeah, why, don't you think so? Besides my whole thing, forget the vibe, or whatever.
Well, you never want to do anything together.
We work together so many hours every day.
But on breaks and during feeding times and stuff like that, I always ask you if you want to play a word game or tentacle wrestle or put something in the EBI or something, but you never want to.
You read me stuff from the EBI all the time. Well, stuff that I put there. And I let you read, by the way. You're welcome.
Yeah, but you never do anything. I'm always doing it. You're putting up with it.
Yeah, but it's different.
Why?
Look, it just is. There's a reason. It's a good reason, but I don't talk about it, okay? I don't even think about it when I can help it.
Yeah, but...
No, let me talk. Despite what you might think, I do consider you a friend, which I haven't had many of, and especially not for a while. You're a very friendly person, so maybe it's easier for you to say that than it is for me, because for me, it's not really easy. But you have to understand that I'm also a very private person. Honestly, the fact that you even know about the EBI folder has me just a little bit anxious, but, you like it, so whatever.
Why does...
No, just, please.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's just... I know I call you out for being a very strange little employee all the time, and all of that is absolutely true. You're pretty much a mess, but you got placed with a weirdo who is a complete mess as well. Just a more contained mess who's been dealing with it for longer. I don't have that young person thing where you can just move around with all this energy and get hurt and not care and bounce right back and be fine with just any new environment all the time, okay?
Okay. The atmosphere in here is kind of weird now.
Yeah. That can happen. Nitrogen and all that.
I've never seen you that passionate before.
Lucky you.
I could almost be scared.
Uh-huh.
Almost, but thankfully my friend is here.
Jonas.
My friend is here, so it's all okay.
Don't push it.
It's okay. You've got a friend here too.
I know. That's my problem.
It's okay. We'll solve it.
Don't Don't say with French.
Friendship!
Of course.
Ink is written, produced, and edited by Monte D, Monteleagre and Alexander Wolfe.
Hi, my name is Allyson Levine, and I voice the character of Bethany.
Hello, my name is Raimy Washington, and I voice the character of Jonas.
Hello, my name's Ellis MacMillan, and I voice the Robo-Archivist.
And I'm Leah Cardenas. I read the ship announcement as well as the credits. Find us online at inkthepodcast.buzzsprout.com for links to all our social media, or connect with us directly at Ink the Podcast. That's at INC the Podcast. All lowercase, all one word, all the time. As a fledgling show attempting to lift off, we're not above asking you for a little help in spreading the word. Ratings and reviews on whatever platform you consume content on helps feed the algorithmic beasts that control all our lives from behind the shadows. And if you're far too unplugged from the system for that, word of mouth has always been a wonderfully organic way to build a community. And we'd be delighted to be the latest podcast you tell people to listen to, knowing full well that most of them never will. One must imagine Sisyphus happy after all. Ink is a production of Wolf Mountain Workshop. Happiness is productivity. Productivity is happiness.